Olá, pessoal! Tudo bem? Boa tarde! Hoje nós vamos fazer a nossa primeira live em inglês. Não é legal? A ideia é que seja uma série de lives que a gente traga os convidados aqui e fale em inglês com eles, para que os nossos alunos e as pessoas que estiverem interessadas possam treinar um pouco o listening de casa com assunto legal, com gente bacana, com uma conversa bem divertida. Tá legal? Bom, hoje a minha convidada é a Ana Rojas. Ela é uma chilena que mora no Brasil há muito tempo, mas já morou em vários lugares do mundo por causa do trabalho dela. E ela vem aqui contar um pouquinho pra gente. Deixa eu ver se ela já chegou. Oi, pessoal. Oi, Aninha. Oi, Gabi. Oi, Mi. Oi, Gilda. Vamos ver aqui. Cadê? Ah, ela ainda não chegou. Mas ok, daqui a pouco ela está aqui. Então a Ana, ela está com um pouco mais de 50 anos e trabalhou a vida inteira em uma mesma empresa, uma multinacional, que deu oportunidade a ela de morar em alguns países diferentes. Ela já esteve com a gente contando sobre alguns dos lugares que ela morou, como a Tailândia, a Suécia, e hoje ela vem contar sobre um outro aspecto, um turning point na vida dela. Tô vendo que a Ana chegou ali. Oi, Ana, tudo bem? Oi, Sá, queridona. Deixa eu chamar aqui a Ana. One moment, please. Vamos entrando. Oi, Ana.
Olá, tudo bem?
Tudo e você?
Tudo bem, estamos aqui,
Ah, que bom. So,
prontinhos.
uh, first of all, thank you very much for accepting our invitation. I was telling the audience that we are trying today an interview, a live in English. What do you think about it?
I think it sounds great. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's always a pleasure for us too, Anna. Thank you. So, Anna, tell us a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself to us.
Oh dear, how many hours do you have?
Well, you gotta be fast.
Yes, oh, no worries. So, as Renata was saying, my name is Ana. We have met, I don't know how many years, couple of maybe 10 years we've known each other.
Around
Through,
it, yeah.
yes, through friends. And well, just to give you, I have live here with my mother, my son. He's 24 years old.
Okay.
And I'm Chilean, born in Chile, lived in Brazil most of my life, studied in international schools. That's where I learned my English.
Good.
And
Beautiful.
yeah, and as Hinata was saying, I worked for many, many years in a global company that allowed me to travel around the world and see many, many countries and meet many people, different cultures, and experience lots of different things, many adventures. So
Cool.
I'm here today to share a little bit about this journey and about what has changed lately.
Good, good. That's the idea. So I can see there are many people entering. Hello, guys. I would love to tell you name by name. Hi, Mara, Claudia, Kenny, Veruska, Angela, Ana, Renata. Oh, hello. Uh, Probably Gisele in Psicoescola. João. Hi, Jenny. Very good. So welcome everybody for our first live in English. The idea here is to practice a little bit of English. And one thing that we find very, very important is that we don't have to be perfect. Okay, we're here, we're trying, we're still learning English after all those years, and that's the beauty of it. It's always going to be a second language for us, a third language. We are going to make mistakes, and that's just fine. Okay? So let's
Great.
practice here. Anna, you could tell us a little bit about your life at the company. Where did you work? I mean, what did you do, and where did you live? Because you had a very successful international job, right? And I would love to hear about that.
Okay. All right. So I started working for Volvo here in Curitiba many years ago, and I worked in many different areas. So the beauty about being employed by a global company and such an enormous company is that
True.
you are able to make many changes, switch careers, switch paths, and still be in the same mother company. So I'm very grateful for that. I worked here in Brazil for I don't know how many years it was before I left, but my first expat assignment was to Sweden, to
All
the
right.
mother company. So the mother company is in Gothenburg, Sweden, and I moved there in 2001 with my mother and my 4-year-old son Bernardo.
4
Yes.
years old. No, come on, Anna.
Yes.
So young. Yeah, it must have been
Yeah.
difficult.
Well, he had his first expat assignment at 4. Yes.
True.
Uh, it was a challenge because, of course, Bernardo did not speak English. My mother speaks English. She says she doesn't, but she does.
I know.
Um, yeah. And it was a challenge for him, but kids are like sponges. So they pick in everything, they sink it in, they take it in so fast that before we realized it, he was already speaking English. So it was good. And before I even knew it, he was speaking Swedish, to my surprise. So
Oh
languages
my.
are something that kids just pick up like that. Yeah. Unfortunately, I think he forgot all about that, but he used to speak Swedish.
Come on. Cool.
Yeah. So I worked in Sweden for 2 years in project assignments. I had a global project and another project that was linked to Brazil, which was very interesting. And it also allowed me to have contact with many different countries that had a certain role within the project. So it's you were saying that English is the second language for all of us, and it was also the second language to all of those countries with whom I worked with. So
Exactly.
yeah, so it is interesting, and what you say about we don't need to be perfect. No, we don't need to be perfect, and many times it's just to be patient and to connect to the person, because there is one thing we have in common: we are all human beings. Right?
Exactly. Good. Beautiful.
Yes, yes. So that was Sweden, and after Sweden, I moved back to Brazil for a couple of years. I worked in different areas, and then I had the opportunity to move again, and I moved to Thailand, to
All right.
Bangkok. Yes.
Good. Good. Good.
Yeah, other side of the world. It was very scary and so on. But by the time I got there, I am passionate about change. And I know you want to talk a little bit about change today, but I'm so passionate about it. So, I think it's the greatest thing that can happen to anyone. You learn so much. Of course, you struggle, but in the end, everything works out. So it's all good.
Exactly. And changing is part of our lives, okay? Either if you want it
Exactly.
or not, but some
Right.
changes we choose, some we don't. So the one of the important things in life is to be flexible, right? To
Yes.
know that things will change, and that we are perfectly able to adapt most cases, right? I just want to have a
Correct.
parenthesis here because
Yes.
Gilda, our student, hi Gilda, she's asking, where are you living today?
I live in Curitiba. I am back. Yeah, I have been here since the beginning of 2019. So yeah, Curitiba.
True. Recently, right? Okay, so
Yes.
then you went to Thailand and then you had to eat strange things.
I didn't have to, but I wanted to because they were
All right.
delicious.
Yeah.
Yes. So many different things, different impressions, different foods, different people, different religions, different ways of speaking. It takes a lot to learn the what I call the Thai English because it's very different.
All
And
right.
but again, you just have to be patient and understand you are connecting to a person, and then everything is good.
How long
Yeah.
did you stay there?
We stayed there for 3.5 years. Bernardo and my mom were also expats in Bangkok again. Yes. So it was very very interesting and very different expat experience because of the different ages. When Bernardo was very small, it was the whole challenge with the school and blah blah blah. Now it was about high school, and he was a teenager, and started going out, and all of those other challenges we have with teenagers. So it was a very
True.
different experience for me.
True, true. I bet it was. Yes, yes.
I,
And then,
Yes, and then after those 3.5 years of assignments, I had the opportunity to move again with Volvo, and I moved to the United States. I also worked with projects over there, and I stayed there for another 3.5 years. I lived in Virginia and in North Carolina, so I even moved in the States, which was
wow.
a challenge. Yeah. So I would say that by now, I'm pretty used to moving around. I'm missing it
Yeah,
already, especially in the pandemic where you can't even go out.
you can't move. Let me see
Yes.
here. Okay, we have a question here. May I
Mhm.
say that now?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so Sabine is asking, what college graduation and post-graduation did Anna take to get to where she is? Very good question. Education is so, so, so important, right, Anna?
Yeah, it is. It is. But it's also the thrive you have, and the will you have to move on. I my first graduation was in translation, so I graduated as a translator and simultaneous interpreter in
Wow.
English, French, and Spanish. And I graduated in Chile, and then later
Okay,
on,
three languages.
yeah,
Sorry,
yes,
huh?
and yeah, and then I came back to Brazil, and then after I started working at Volvo, I used to work within the logistics department, and we had export, import, and I got interested in all of that. And I decided to go back to university, so I started with the administration and foreign trade. And unfortunately, I didn't conclude that one because I decided to go to Sweden.
All
But
right.
it's all good. When you go back to studying at that time, it's a lot more about you already know things, and you want to grow with teachers and with younger people as well. I was already 30 years old, and all my colleagues were 18, 19. So it is really fun. It's a completely different setup than going to uni right after school. So it's a lot of
Exactly.
other things that you learn at that moment.
Oh,
Yeah.
we here at Tea Time, we know it so well that it's never,
Mhm.
never too late to learn, right? Never too late to
No.
be a student again. Actually,
Yeah.
studying is a lifelong project. Everything is learning,
Yes.
everything you do, right? So when you have the
Correct.
opportunity, the gift to attend the school of something you like, guy, it's just amazing. It's a privilege, right? So you're here,
Yes.
another testimony. that can show that there is no right age to learn anything, right?
Oh, no, no. And yeah, so we stopped in the US, and I tell you a little bit more about this education right afterwards, because
Go ahead.
I came back beginning of 2019. You know, our expat assignments end and you go back to your mother company. And I came back to Volvo de Brazil to work in a completely different area. I started working within human resources, which I had never worked with before. And but it was very interesting. I loved it. And it was like you were able to join all the experiences you had before in different areas, all put into one pot. So it was
Wow.
quite amazing. And you know, one of the things is that I decided to challenge myself to learn new things. You know, now we have a lot of new methodologies, and you know, working with project management. I had several certifications within that area, but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any certifications within agile methodologies, and I didn't have any certifications in lean manufacturing, where I had experience with those things within my job, but I didn't have certifications. And I thought, well, why not? So I went back to school here as well, and I started doing some courses at night, and it was again big challenge, because then I wasn't 30, I was already over 50, and I was back to school with all those people that were coming out of school. So it was
Cool.
very interesting and a great opportunity to interact with people from different companies as well, with different backgrounds. And I used to joke, you know, I don't know how to speak Portuguese anymore, because their Portuguese and their slang was something I couldn't follow.
Come on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, being out of the country for 7 years, you know, you disconnect to the actual slang that is being spoken. And you know,
True.
being that with my son, I don't speak Portuguese, I speak Spanish, so I miss out on that kind of vocabulary, you know. And
Okay.
so it sounds weird sometimes, because people take it for granted that you know all the words in Portuguese, but I'm also a foreigner here, you
It's
know.
true. It's true. Yes, yes. We tend to forget it because, I mean, as a friend, I see you
Right.
on a regular basis. Like you live here. I met you here. Of course, you are Brazilian, but then you're not. You're
Yes,
also,
yes,
right, a foreigner. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it's interesting, you know, that we're talking about that in an English school, because it doesn't matter how fluent you are in a language. You know, like English, I'm perfectly comfortable with English. But of course, when I was living in the US and being with all the native people from the South, you realize there are lots of words like, what does this mean? And it's slang, and it's foods, and it's very traditional things. And then you realize that even within the US, if you go from east to west, they have words that are different and are used for different things, and they have foods that
Uh-huh.
are specific, and then maybe they don't understand them either. So,
Exactly.
you know, it's you always have things to learn,
True.
right?
True. And then you said you went to school after 50, and
Mm-hmm.
then you're not working anymore, right? You're not at the company anymore, are you?
No, 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 no. I worked there for about a year and a half, year and a half, 2 years at HR, and then the pandemic came, right? And so we were sent home, and we were to work on home office and so on, like pretty much everyone else. And
Yes.
then you know, it was something very different, and I was getting close to 30 years in the company. So I was getting close to that time where I could go for my retirement. And I started thinking about that, and it was always very, very scary to think about life outside Volvo for me because I had always been with Volvo. It was my company, it was my family, it was my home. I could not imagine my life outside Volvo. And then
I bet.
I started to think about it, and I think that the pandemic has been such a terrible thing, but it has been something that has affected everybody in one way or another, but it has
Sure.
affected everybody.
Sure
And
thing.
and some of us have decided that, okay, what can I do to make the most out of it? So I was at home. I decided to take control of different areas of my life that I hadn't been working on, like my health, my food, my exercise, my mind, calm it down, from all of this, what am I going to do all the time? What's next? What's next? What's next? To maybe, hey, it's today. You have to live today. So that changed. It was a big change in me. And when July came, Volvo, because of the pandemic, they had this package and they offered it to anyone who would like to leave. And I had already 30 years at Volvo, and I thought, hey, maybe this is the chance that I've been looking for. It's the
Mm-hmm.
opportunity. It's that little push because I wouldn't ask to leave Volvo, but this was kind of like, hey, it's here. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
And I decided
Mm-hmm.
to take that chance, even though
A
I
new
was,
window. Mm-hmm.
yes. And even
Right?
though I was very, very scared in the beginning, but it has been great. And again, I think change is something, as you said, is inevitable. Everybody goes through changes, big changes, maybe moving countries, moving cities, moving houses, or changing in the family, or even small changes, whatever it could be. You had a manicure or a hairdresser you go to all the time. He moved to another city. You have to get a new hairdresser. It's a small change, maybe not so important, but it creates an anxiety in your life. And change is a process. And I work a lot with change processes in my work, and it has its phases. And you go through all those four phases for every change, if it's small or if it's big. The difference is that you will go through some of them very fast, and through some of them, it will take you a longer time. But you will
Wow.
always go
Mm-hmm.
through those phases of change. And it's important to acknowledge in what phase you are because you need to respect what you are feeling. And it is
Mm-hmm.
okay. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to not know. And then little by little, you will start knowing, you will start getting curious, you will start wanting to see what's out there. And then
Mm-hmm.
when you get there, and you always have those people that help you, that push you through, hang on to those, grab their hands and go because they will help you to get to the other side. And once you're there, you'll see, wow, it was good. And then you start thinking, what's next? Where will I go next?
Super. Yes, yes. The fact is that it may be scary at the beginning, right? Because you were for 30 years in the same company. Can you imagine this? I mean, that was part of your life. You spent more time in the company than out the company. So, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
now what? to retire? I mean, I'm full of energy. I don't want to retire now. But what will I do? Do I have other plans? And of course, it must have been very, very challenging to say the least. You
Yes.
mentioned four stages. Could you please tell us which are these stages?
Well, you have the first one is like when you are in kind of a shock. You know, you don't know, you don't realize, you have to recognize that change. Then you have the phase of the resistance, because all people are, it's normal. Human beings don't like changes. So you have the resistance, whether it's big or it's small. And then you have the other stage where you are curious and you start exploring, and then, you know, it starts to feel good. And then the last stage is when you acknowledge it and you take it in, and then you decide to go with it. So, you know, very briefly, because that is a whole new class we can talk about some other time. It's an extensive process, but it's important to acknowledge, and as I said, to respect yourself and to let yourself go through those, so it makes it less uncomfortable or less stressful to do. Yeah,
Exactly. And now,
yeah.
what's your life like now?
Wow, it's great. You
Yeah.
know, one of the things that I realized is that, I mean, well, working at Volvo was fantastic, and I mean, I truly enjoyed all my years there and everything. I realized that I didn't have so much time for Anna. I didn't focus on things that I wanted to do, really. You know, I made the most out of a lot of things, but I didn't focus on myself. And now I have the time to do so. And so I focused on, well, for once, as I said, my health, my gym. I go to the gym every single day except Sundays. That's my rest day. And I focused on my food. So I have changed completely the way that I eat and the way that I interact with food. I have changed the way that even the people around me, because I think that that is not exclusive for me. I think the pandemic has done that. It has changed the circles you move in, and for good and for bad. But I think that, you know, you always have to make the most out of what you have. And I think that's also a very important part of change, you know, not to focus on what you don't have, but to focus on what you do have and to make the
Exactly.
most out of it. So it has also changed like that. You know, I have always been a person that loves to have people over to my house and have parties, and you know about that. I don't need to tell you.
Yes, I love it.
And yeah, and I can't invite anyone to my house. So that is also something that today I do a lot of things over Zoom, over, you know. So yeah. But end of last year, I also said that, okay, I have to take some time to see who am I? You know, what do I want to do next? Do I want to go and look for another job maybe? Do I want to change to another company? Or and I started working with some professionals and with my CV and reviewing my career and so on. And, you know, again, going through that change process. And eventually I realized that, well, I don't know if I want to go back to a job at a company, because I do want to have the time for the things that I enjoy doing today. But of course, I'm young and I do have a lot of energy. So I got involved in some voluntary work, some voluntary projects. I got involved in a couple of different networks with executives and so on, which I truly enjoy because I learn a lot with them and it keeps me updated. And I've started to do some mentoring jobs, which is great because, you know, then I can use everything that I have learned and my experiences and share them with
Ah,
someone, which makes them valuable. I always say
Of
that, whatever knowledge you have, if you can't share it with someone, it's not worth anything. It's only worth
true.
something when you put it to good use with someone else. So that is what I'm doing today.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, so I'm enjoying it. And I don't
What's your
know, I don't
routine like nowadays? Like
My
you?
routine.
Yes.
Okay, so my routine is I wake up in the morning, not so early, but around 8 o'clock is where I wake up, and I usually do my breathing, my meditation. I do my morning prayers. I get up, and then I get ready. I prep for the gym, and around 9:30, we're off to the gym. I always go with my son. Train there. I don't know, sometimes 1 hour, sometimes 2 hours, sometimes he has to drag me out of there because I get so, I can't stop myself. So I enjoy it so much. And then we leave, we come home, we have lunch. And in the afternoon, either, is the usually you read something, you go and do some researches, or you watch some videos, or you are learning, or whatever, see friends. I also meet up for coffee every now and then with a couple of friends, go out for walks. And usually it's in the evening where I get connected with all these networks, because of course everyone else is working. So during the day you can't do all those things. These networks get activated in the evening. So at the time where normally people are going down, that's where I'm going up in activity. but but it's a lot of fun. I truly enjoy it. And yeah, it's very different, but it's very gratifying. And
I
it's
bet it is. Yes, yes, of course. There are so many possibilities for anyone around the world with our daily routines. It's just that we go through phases throughout
yeah.
life, and the more we get comfortable with them, the more it goes well,
Mm,
right? So
yeah.
if I ask you, would you like to change anything in your life nowadays, except for the pandemics? Okay, let's take it out. But let's
Yeah.
pretend it doesn't exist. But would you do something or anything different nowadays?
Whew. Well, I don't know. I'm still discovering things. So I think, yeah, there's pretty much lots of stuff to discover. Um, I would I would like to travel, and because as I have traveled to many places, I have been to many countries. A lot of people tell me, oh, you've been everywhere. Yeah, but I've traveled a lot for work. I haven't really traveled a lot on a touristic, mood.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to do that. I would like to have that opportunity. I would like to live abroad, just being a person, not having to go to work, just to get to know the place and so on. I would like that. I would like to learn a new language. Yeah, because
Okay.
yes, I have been thinking about that. I have the English, I have Spanish, I have Portuguese, I have French, and I learned Swedish in Sweden, which I still speak very basic, but I do and I understand. But I'm thinking if I'm going now,
Awesome.
German or Italian. So maybe you can vote. What should I learn? Give me a tip if you think so.
This is so cool.
Yeah.
You see so many possibilities, so many things to do. We are not defined by our job or our
No.
occupation, right? And even through
Yes.
life, we can have one, two, three occupations. The lifespan
Yes.
is long, and then
Yes.
I'm sure you have many, many things to discover. There are many
Yes.
people here saying, "Oh, Anna, you're such an example. I love you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank
Nice
you.
to see you, and congrats." Sabine said she's very, very proud of your life, your decisions, And I bet we have many other questions here, many
Yes.
other things to say. But, oh, there's a vote for Italian.
Okay.
You
Okay.
see?
Okay.
And
Um,
for this live, I would like to ask you to say the last words. Then maybe we can come back and talk about other
yeah.
things. But as I said, I would like to make it
Sure.
brief, and then we
Sure.
can check if it works. Not. Would you like to say something to close the
Yeah.
idea?
Yeah. Yeah, the thing is that, people are probably wondering, why did we decide to talk today? And I think it was, I asked Hinata, is there anything I can help you with in your school? Because, as I said, I like to share my experience, and, I'm always curious to do different things. And one thing that we talked about was, that because of the pandemics, so many people are having to face this of change, not because they want to, but because they are forced to, because the jobs aren't there anymore, or because your job maybe has changed from being in an office to being in a home office, and you don't know how to deal with that, and you will have your kids, and you have your husband, and you have so many things that have changed. And what I wanted to say, and we talked about this, was that, you know there's always a positive thing about change if you just have the eye to see it. So focus on the good things, and the bad things will go away. Of course they exist. Of course you need to deal with them. Of course, it's not easy on anyone, but a good attitude will always get you through, the bad stuff in life. And have faith in yourself, in your friends, and in God, because He knows it all.
Exactly. And as you said, look for the correct support, the network that
Yes.
may help you, the friends that will give you the strength you need, your
Yes.
family. There are many, many, many people. You just have to find the correct ones, let's say, the people who
Yes.
will support you. We're not alone. We have
No.
many people to help, right?
Yeah, and I truly believe that, these kind of situations is what makes you realize which are the right people and who are the right people for your life at that moment.
Exactly.
Because, everyone has their moments, and we go through other people's lives, and we leave, and then we go back, and then we leave. And sometimes we stay. And it's all good. It's all good.
Yes. It's all good, exactly. Anna, I could stay here talking to you for hours, you know that. And I want you to come back if you
Oh,
want to. And then
yeah,
we
well.
we continue this wonderful conversation. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. This is our first trial in English, and please, if you want to send any suggestion, comments, feedback, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you very much,
topics.
guys. Yes, topics, ideas, a conversation. I can see many people here. It's a pleasure to have you here, guys. Thank you,
Thank you.
Anna. You
Thank
rock,
you.
girl.
Thank you for having me. Thanks, guys. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye, dear. See ya. Bye,
See ya.
guys. Thank you.